How to get rid of your phone addiction in 30 days. Let's get into it. So, a phone addiction is something that a lot of you have, and anyone on YouTube has experienced. Maybe you were on Shorts, maybe you were on TikTok or IG, and you just keep watching the next thing. And then you watch the next thing. Funny video here, cool video here, attractive woman shaking her butt here, whatever, scary thing about politics here. Whatever it is, you're just watching it mindlessly. And then next thing you know, an hour goes by, 2 hours go by, you didn't get shit done. You feel more tired. All of a sudden you feel more negative about the world because of what you saw on the fucking phone. And it's funny because sometimes you guys don't even realize that's why you feel so negative. That's why you're so tired. That's why life can feel irritating. That's why things feel difficult for you. So I had a big problem with this growing up, honestly, because I grew up in the age when Instagram became a thing when I was like 14. And I remember when it first came out, there was people in my classroom and they were just all downloading it. They were like, hey, we got our likes, follow me. Oh, I just made one, follow me, do this, do that. And at first it was this funny, interesting thing, right? Who would have known it would have been so big as to how it is now? So it's just crazy. And basically, the reason it's so dangerous, well, before I get into why social media is so dangerous, let me get into how social media has affected my life so much. So when I was a kid, Instagram came up at 14, right? As I grew up, Instagram got way bigger. Obviously, Facebook has always been big, but the thing about Facebook is that it wasn't on your phone as much. People weren't as addicted to their phones as much. It just wasn't as easily digestible. Instagram changed the game because they made it so you just see a photo and you see like one thing on the screen. So it's like that's the thing, that's the focus, as opposed to something you gotta read, right? Or something more of depth. Instagram made it like, instead of depth, let's just show snapshots of our life. It's actually really interesting when you think about it. Before this, there was like newspapers. There was like things with depth, right? Stories. And then Instagram was like, no, let's make it even dumber. Let's make this smaller. Let's make the focus smaller. It's a picture, it's a snapshot. And as a result, it became so big. And the thing about Instagram is that people start to base their self-worth off Instagram. I saw girls doing this. When I was younger, I would see girls doing this all the time, right? They would get a bunch of likes. They would post a little butt picture or a picture with their makeup, whatever. And they would get all these likes. And some dudes would comment hard eyes. Oh my God, you're so beautiful. This, and that. And those girls would like feel validated from this. I know because I've talked to women. I've had friends who are women. And I've seen this with my own eyes. I've seen it happen to men as well. I've seen men get validated from this. Shit, even I have. I'm not going to lie. I remember I would post something and then it got less likes than the previous post. And I'd be like, damn, I wonder why it got less likes. Or you know what it was? I remember I would post it and then I would like wait. And then I would realize like, fuck, this is getting less likes. Like at the same rate, it's getting less likes relative to the rate of the other thing. So does that mean that I look bad here? Does that mean that this is bad content? Right? I'm actually going to move over here because this is actually a nicer shot. But I would have these thoughts, you know, I would second guess myself based off how people were reacting to my content. Which, I mean, there's value in this, right? Like if you post a YouTube video that doesn't do as well, then maybe that's because the algorithm is being real here, and actually you need to get better at YouTube, right? But when it comes to Instagram, it's dangerous because it's not so much about providing value in content. At least that's why a lot of people use it. They use it not for that reason. They use it for just showing your life, showcasing your life, and it's essentially a competition of who's got the best life. It's crazy because there's already been a form of this in society when it's called keeping up with the Joneses, right? It's the idea that like, you know, you want to seem cool in front of your neighbors, in front of your friends. You want to go to the high school graduation and bring the hottest wife there. You want to do this, you want to do that. You want to have the nice car. Why? Because you want people to view you a certain way. It all stems from what you care about, what people care about you. You're just so obsessed with what people's perception is on you. So people have already been like this, but Instagram just made it worse, right? Facebook, Instagram just made it worse. And then we get into apps like TikTok. We get into apps like Snapchat. TikTok is so bad that if you're a man right now, I want you to pause this video, delete TikTok, come back to this video. Because I'm telling you right now, you have no reason to be on that app unless you're making content and making money from it. But TikTok is like the worst app ever. It was so bad that when it first came out and I got it just to get it, I instantly noticed how addictive it was. And I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. It is way too fun for the amount of work I have to put in to get this fun. I want that to sit with everybody here. That is, this video can be summed up with that sentence. Social media, your phone, is way too fun for the amount of work that you put in. All you do is this. That's it. And you get all this stimulation. You see attractive women. You see people who have the life you want. You see funny video. You see this. You see that at the touch of your thumb. Like all the time, all day. See, back in the day, and when I say back in the day, you could talk about 500 years ago. You could talk about 10,000 years ago. You could talk about 100 years ago. You could talk about 20 years ago. But back in the day, it's more difficult to get this level of stimulation. Imagine 100 years ago, before TVs and stuff, like, what did people have to do to see an attractive woman? This is a good example. They would have to go outside and find her. Or they would have to get a magazine or something. And there was a time magazines weren't a thing. So even before that, they would really have to go out and find her. But even a magazine is not the same thing. I mean, it's really not the same thing, right? But anyways, even in the magazine, you gotta go and buy a magazine and look at it. It's one picture and it's only a certain amount of pages. It's not this infinite loop like your phone. Your phone is this infinite pleasure pad. You can do whatever you want. You could see whatever you want. You could hear whatever you want. It's absolutely crazy. And at first, it seems magical, right? It's like, imagine we told the aliens that didn't have a phone, like, hey, we could give you this thing. It's like the size of your hand. It is the most convenient thing imaginable. And really, all you got to do is do this. And through this, you could find out anything about the world, pretty much. And you could see anything you would like. You could hear anything you would like. You could have as much pleasure as you want from this phone. Now, of course, the phone can't technically give you all the pleasures of the world possible. You can't taste food, for example, which I do think will happen in the future. But it gives you a lot. At least visually and auditorially, it gives you a fuck ton. Right? It's just crazy when you think about it, because, I mean, I'm guilty of, like I said, like my journey, the Instagram thing happened. Another thing that happened that's not as big of a deal, but it's more subtle, and I know a lot of you guys experience this, is listening to podcasts a lot. Now with the Joe Rogan experience, with other things like this becoming big, a lot of people start to listen to podcasts very often. And this seems very harmless. Like, nothing seems wrong with listening to podcasts and listening to discussions, getting more intelligent, getting more smart. It seems very harmless, and this is a very subtle example. Like, this is nowhere near as bad as TikTok. For example, if this is like, I don't know, alcohol and weed, then this is like fucking crack cocaine and heroin, right? TikTok. But alcohol and weed can still be very destructive. The podcast thing is an example. The podcast / YouTube thing. There's guys who are obsessed with their phones, but they think they're being productive because they're watching self-improvement YouTube videos, or they're listening to Joe Rogan podcasts, or whatever. It might be you. Honestly, it probably is you. And it was me. I get it. The problem with this is, if you don't allow yourself to ever be bored, and you're constantly putting a podcast the moment you have free time, the moment no one's talking to you, the moment there's dead silence, the moment you just grab your AirPod, listen to the next podcast. When are you ever processing your thoughts? When are you ever just by yourself with the world, experiencing the world for what it is? Walking around, smelling the flowers, metaphorically and literally. Like you're literally in the world and you're fully experiencing it. As opposed to you're in the world, but you're somewhat experiencing it because some part of you is living in the podcast. And then you have the podcast on and you're walking around in public or whatever. And instead of striking up a conversation with a stranger next to you that looks cool, or a very attractive woman that looks attractive, you don't do that because you're in this world. You really think you're somewhat ahead of people who aren't doing this? You think just because you're listening to all this knowledge it makes you smarter? You're wrong. You're very wrong. You're mistaken dramatically. You're leaving so much on the table by not interacting with the real world. I'm telling you, it's so much better. It feels so much more fulfilling. And there's more in this real world than there is in your AirPods. So that's the podcast thing. That's Instagram. TikTok is just a fucking mess, man. Too much stimulation for all you're doing is this. It's gonna zap your attention span. It's gonna zap your ability to think straight. And one of the worst things about all these platforms that this is a very obvious thing, but it's like a lot of it leads to porn. If there's Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever, anything, this is all like soft drugs ish, not really, but kinda. And then the hardest drug is like porn, right? Porn is like the craziest hard drug on your phone that you could be using. It has the most stimulation. It has the most bang for your buck, essentially. You could spike your dopamine so high by masturbating and watching porn as a man. So it's very dangerous because men will start doing this. And back in the day, it would just be a magazine. But now you got your phone and you can have endless access to anything your mind could think of, pretty much. So this is very dangerous. Because once your mind knows it can have that access, I'm gonna stem everything back. The entire video, it concludes here, which is once your mind knows it has access to all this fun for this much effort, why would your mind decide to do hard work? Whatever it is you want to do. You want to be a good singer, you want to be a good dancer, you want to be a YouTuber, you want to be intelligent, you want to be rich, you want to be famous, whatever it is you want to do, it requires some hard work. It does. It requires hours of time. If it didn't, everyone would do it. That's just the reality. So it's very difficult to go and chase your dreams when your brain has this out. It's like, why are we going to do all this work when we could have all this fun? Why? Talking on camera. You know how much work it took me to start doing this in a good way? A lot of work. At the beginning, it wasn't fun. I was just talking to a camera, practicing every day for years. It took a long time. This isn't something I was born with. Same with my social confidence. Not something I was born. I couldn't socialize with strangers like that. I couldn't go to a girl on the street. Hell no, I wouldn't be able to do that. Now I'm on the other side. I'm coaching men. I've coached hundreds of men on how to become more socially confident and talk to women and improve their lives as a whole. I wouldn't have done that if I was addicted to my phone to the point where my perception of fun is skewed. And I think, and there's an out. It's like, I can have all this fun for this little work. Guys, you're fucking yourself so hard when you do this. Take away the distractions. Take away the outs. Take away the skewed perceptions of reality. Take them all away. Stop using your social media so much. Set limits on that. Stop being obsessed with your phone. Use it way less. Use it only for work. Use it only to be in this world. Like it's a means to an end. That's it. It's not the end itself. I'm telling you guys, this is the key to having more happiness, less anxiety, more success in your life. And with that being said, like I said, I was helping a lot of men with their social confidence, their dating life, their overall life. If you want help, one-on-one coaching, the link is in my description to work with me personally. That is all for this video, guys. Have a great day. Please stay off this phone, I promise you. If you just turn your phone off for a full day, you're going to feel light years better. Maybe that day you'll feel anxious, but the next day you're gonna wake up better. You do it that day too, you're gonna wake up even better. And I know you need your phone for certain things, so just slowly ease your way back into it. Slowly learn how to delete some apps that you don't need. Maybe take a break from social media and all these apps for 30 days at least. That's my recommendation. I'm telling you guys, this is the #1 way of being happier. Use this phone less. Have a great day. Peace out.